Blue Lock Chapter 304 has just released. We got Isagi coming home to mom and dad, as well as U20 World Cup preparations. Not gonna lie, this was one wholesome chapter, and we got some hints towards some important developments later on. So per usual, I'm gonna cover it all and what it means, so let's jump into it. Chapter starts off with Isagi back at home, feasting up on pork cutlets, which is a nice callback to what he ate in chapter 1. Isagi's mom and dad are here. It's been a while since we've seen them, to be honest, like after the U20 game. His mom says that she's shocked he's back home and wonders if he has a break from Blue Lock, which Isagi says it's something like that. The U20 World Cup isn't for a while, so they told him they have 2 weeks off. This is pretty important news. From this chapter, we know there is 45 days left until the U20 World Cup, so with 2 weeks off, that means when they return to Blue Lock, they'll have a little over 30 days to train together, which I think is a perfect amount of time for them. You have 2 weeks to take a break and chill, and the rest you can still fit in a training arc in those 30 days or last minute preparations. Since they're on a break, Isagi's mom tells him to get a lot of rest then, and a W, Isagi's mom, you just love to see it. Isagi's dad starts talking about his popularity, abilities, and salary all leveling up, with his mom saying that, hey, you probably shouldn't bring that up right now. But who cannot? Your son is now raking in the dough. Of course he is gonna mention that. Isagi's fine talking about it though, and says how Blue Lock is handling the offers from the clubs in the meantime, and that they'll get the details later. And would you believe me if I say this is the first time we're getting any information about the club offers and what they do? So it looks like they still stand and will be important way later on. I think this just confirms that they'll have a role after the U20 World Cup. It's a little bit of catch up and recap as Isagi's mom talks about how he managed to reach the #1 in Blue Lock, and Isagi says yeah, he pulled it off on some nonchalant timing. Then Isagi's dad goes up to him and starts imitating what Isagi said to Kaiser. Thanks for that, my ultimate clown. Y'all, we might have to put Isagi's dad in the Hall of Fame because this was too funny. The fact that he's been practicing since that moment too makes it even better. Mama Yoichi tells Isagi that if he continues to trash talk, he'll be a bad influence on the kids watching at home, but then they get interrupted by a sudden delivery. It's a box from Blue Lock for Isagi, and when he opens it up, we see a whole lot of discs, a plane ticket, as well as an envelope. I'm gonna be honest though, Ego, look at the amount of discs there are here. This gotta be at least 2 weeks worth of recordings. So you're telling me I'm gonna spend my whole break VOD reviewing? Me personally, I'm not watching all that, but knowing Isagi, he probably enjoys all this football content and improving even when he's on break. The plane ticket is probably the most interesting thing here. It's not revealed where it goes to, but I think this is a good setup for later. Like maybe Ego sends him on a trip overseas to watch football in a different country in real life, and he meets some new rivals or teams while he's there. I'd assume we're gonna get introduced to some new characters and rivals because ain't no way we using all of the 2 weeks just to see Isagi going over game tapes. It would just make sense to develop and introduce some characters for the World Cup. We know France and Germany are threats already, but what about the rest of the countries? So that's probably what the plane ticket is for. Anyways, he puts it to the side for now and reads the letter from Ego, which is an assignment for Isagi to learn about football with the key to his next evolution in there. Discover it himself. What kind of riddle me this type of message did Isagi just get? Like, Ego could have just told bro straight up and Isagi can start training on it immediately. But yeah, I get it. Catch a fish, feed him for a day, teach him to fish, feed him for life. Also, I ain't doubting Ego. If he tells me Santa is real, I'm believing in it. This is hype to see his next evolution is in there though. Isagi did get developed a lot during the NEL, so a lot of people thought the Isagi we have now is the one we're gonna get for the U20. But it looks like he's gonna be improving even more, and our glorious GOAT might just be on top during the World Cup. Isagi's mom tells him she's been wondering for a while what kind of person does Ego seem like, and I think the community, except for Nagi fans, are excited to see some more Ego mentions. Besides the fact that he leads Blue Lock and he was Noel Noah's first rival, we legit know nothing about this guy, so any crumbs we get, we'll eat up. Isagi starts off saying he's radical and has his own philosophy, totally insociable, and he'll only say what he means. Ego is literally that friend who just keeps it a buck with you no matter what. Isagi even says that he'd just be some weirdo if he was somewhere else. He tells his parents that Ego is the one who believes the most that Japan will win the World Cup, with Isagi kind of understanding it now, the sincerity of an adult and true passion. Continuing that Ego is the craziest craziest, most fascinating guy in the world, the benefactor of his dreams. The ego glaze is crazy here, but it's well-deserved, especially since we got some other knuckleheads who don't think ego does anything. Isagi's parents are just smiling and are glad that their son met someone good, telling him to remember that no matter how much he changes, the fact that they are a family will never change. He'll be fighting a bigger challenges where he'll hurt and get hurt by others. His dad and mom will always be watching over him, and this is his home to return to. This got me crying, y'all. What W, parents? Canonically, I think Isagi's mom and dad are the best in the BLUELOCK verse, because BLUELOCK really be having the worst families in existence. You got Kaiser's celebrity mom who's a deadbeat and his abusive dad, Hiyori's mom and dad who will divorce if he doesn't become number one. Ness's whole family made him do the cry of sorrow and despair and just walked it off. It's hard to be normal in the BLUELOCK verse, I guess, and to hear that your parents support you no matter what is always such a wholesome thing. Isagi has a moment of gratitude and thanks them for everything while he goes to his room and starts watching the videos that Ego sent. In the box are old discs of football matches. This one was from the 2008 Euro finals. When he loads it up, the clip is already halfway through though, and at the moment of the goal. Ego might just be the editors behind those highlight videos. Isagi is questioning what exactly is going on as the clip cuts to another match where the goal gets blocked, so he's even more confused. However, he figures out that the recording changes whenever there is a game-changing moment, so Ego is telling him to focus on that. Anything like traps, passes, or dribbles to add a new stimulus to the field, Ego handpicked plays that produced the goal sent, another callback to the first few chapters of BLUELOCK. We get a double spread of Isagi saying there's still so much he doesn't know about football overflowing throughout the world, and that he needs to input this new stimulus to reach Jinpachi Ego's level of thoughts. The last page is the Egoist 4 receiving their own letters, and it is good to be back, man. I don't think we've gotten a full panel of these 4 in a long time. However, it looks like they only got letters and not videotapes like Isagi, so maybe each letter is different for each player and what they decide to do. Also, I like how Kunigami is in the mountains while everyone is just chilling at home. Like, bro is actually taking it no days off. He also gripping that paper like they sent him to the wild card. The chapter ends saying that there is 45 days left until the U20 World Cup. Now, I won't lie, I know most of y'all are thinking that this was a bit of a slower chapter, and I can kind of agree, but to be honest, with how many big chapters we've been getting recently, like the end of the NEL and Nagi's elimination, it just makes sense that we would get a change of pace eventually. It is a chapter though, and there were some big reveals like the plane ticket and the Egoist 4 being hinted at again. I really do think the plane ticket will be very important to introducing a new character to us, or rival when Isagi eventually gets on that plane. This is probably the biggest plot point from the chapter. Where do y'all think this plane is going? I honestly think he's going to one of the countries revealed in the last chapter and meeting a new Gen 11. I guess someone who conveniently speaks Japanese as well. I'm not sure how they'll do it, but I'm convinced that this plane trip will introduce us to someone new. I'm also glad we got some highlight or mention towards the Egoist 4, which makes me just think that they're gonna have a lot of relevancy for the U20 World Cup. Another thing is, where is Itoshi Sai? It's not even funny at this point. Maybe the plane ticket is to go see him because this guy is missing in action. You'd assume we'd get some sort of hint on whether he's playing or not, where he's at, what country he's even playing for, but we've gotten nothing so far. He is considered the best player to come from Japan, but the top 23 is solidified, so does that mean he's playing for Spain because they might make him eligible to do so? Honestly, it might just be Isagi's plane ticket is going to Spain and maybe he sees Itoshi Sai there. Would be cool to see some Itoshi Sai and Isagi interactions. Sai could be the translator as well for Japanese, and maybe Isagi meets some new rivals or characters there. This is kind of going out on a whim, but damn, that would be cool to see. The next chapter title is X23 or times 23, which I'd assume is referring to the top 23 players. We might see what their letters say, or just updates on each and every single player from the top 23 before we head into focus on Isagi and the other main characters, because we know Fukakugen is not getting any screen time, so highlighting him here will probably be the last reference for him before BLUELOCK comes back after the 2-week break. I saw some people saying that this might be referring to roster changes, increasing it from the top 23 to a number like 26 instead. Obviously, this is so Nagi can join back, or Itoshi Sai. This is the first chapter without a Nagi reference in a while, and of course some people start thinking the next chapter is going to be about him. I'm not sure if bringing Nagi back so quickly would be a good idea, manga, but whatever they decide to do, I'm excited for. Again, a little bit of a slower chapter, but it did reveal a few things. Anyways, leave all your thoughts down below and predictions from the chapter. What do you think of this plane ticket means? What the next chapter title means? If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it as always, and I'll see y'all in the next one.